Yeah. When you watching them birds play, thoughts go through your mind about some misplays. Backstage politics, who's next on the trade block? Tune in to 4th and JAWN, get your answers, bruh. If you be in the city, just know that we get busy. Anytime there's a whole game tailgate, we lit it. Cheering on them birds, singing that fight song. E-A-G-L-E-S, we on, look. We from Philly. If you don't know, we run these streets the same way the birds run that NFC East. Giants is weak, Skins is trash. Cowboys every season whoop that ass. Look, it ain't no competition. We here for those who listen. Want nothing but the facts. That ego coalition. We could give two fucks about your trash ass team. Our concern is about that black, that white, that midnight green. The feathers on the helmet, bruh, our hearts indebted. Fly Eagles fly, what it's about, bruh. I said it, look up.
But I just gotta know one thing. Are you ready? No! I said, are you ready?
What's up, Philadelphia? We are live broadcasting from Wildfire Sports Studios. Welcome to 4th and JAWN, episode 60. Boys and girls, well, I apologize that we're a little bit late here. I sincerely apologize, but you got to understand this. I got a really big team, and they need some really big rings. And we were fortunate enough to have one of the Eagles employees stop by the studio today, and a group of the tailgating faithful, the guys and gals that have been there since they wanted to tailgate, got their opportunity to take a picture with the Super Bowl ring. We got a busy show for you, a jam-packed show. We got Rick Berger from the Philadelphia Sports Museum that's opening up right across from Lincoln Financial Field. Right, we're going to talk to him. He brought in some items to share. Oh, it's show and tell day today, boys. It's show and tell day. I freaking love it. We also got Mike from the Green Legion calling in, talking about the tailgate and the trip over to Canton, Ohio, where we will see Brian Dawkins, our beloved number 20, end up in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But first things first, we started on a high, and being as there's not a whole lot of Eagles news, there was a shit ton of news this morning, Gail.
It was, man.
It seems that the former Philadelphia Eagle and Eagles franchise all-time leading rusher, shit. Uh-oh. You saw the pictures in the morning. They were disturbing. Apparently, he had an ex-girlfriend whose friend put on Instagram a picture of her face bloodied up from an attack either by LeSean himself or somebody who LeSean asked them to, or maybe it's not even connected. Maybe it's not even connected. But either way, this young woman put LeSean McCoy on blast. Not only for the gruesome pictures that we saw online, but the way he treats his son, the way he treats his dog, and the way he goes about his profession. A whole lot of... Now, let me preface this. This is no joking matter. This is not funny. This is not a game. This is somebody's life, and somebody ended up looking like that. We don't know if it is indeed in connection with LeSean McCoy at all. But either way, this is tough to look at, Gail. What do you make of the situation?
I mean, this morning, we first start off with the soccer team in Thailand, the guys getting out of the caves. It started off well for me. And then I got to scroll down the timeline, and then I saw that brief that picture, and I was like, dude, I sent to the DMs. I was like, yo, this is about to break in like 10 seconds, and then all of a sudden
5, 4,
it just
3,
exploded.
Boom.
But I mean, this situation, I mean, first of all, I mean, it's a graphic photo. I mean, you can't look at that and feel a certain type of way.
Yes.
But you also, in this day and age, you can't just read anything on the internet and take it for face value. You have to do your research. I mean, that's how you got to look at things.
Absolutely.
But I'm going to read what it said. The post by LeSean McCoy's ex-girlfriend's friend. He said, Shady McCoy is the devil. You are an animal. We didn't say anything about how you beat your dog Henny into kidney failure. Let's not talk about all the times my best friend had to stop you from viciously beating your son for small things like peeing in the bed. We kept quiet about your drug usage, all the illegal steroids and needles you were using, but we will not keep quiet about this. I can't believe you did this to my best friend. Your karma is going to be so real. The world needs to know what type of animal you really are. This was just her yesterday on the left, and now this morning, this is her on the right. Yeah, I mean, she made heavy...
Those are heavy accusations, dude.
I mean, domestic abuse, animal abuse, steroid abuse.
This is a situation like a Ray Rice, and then a Adrian Peterson with the child abuse, and then give me one with steroids, Brian Cushing.
Yep.
This is a shit sandwich that LeSean McCoy's found himself in.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at his past, I mean, that's the thing that people will look at his past and, like, you know, he's consistently got himself involved in these certain situations, whether it was the party bus, whether it was the party up in the Bills where it was only women invited, the, you know, putting his baby's mother on blast and had his Twitter folks attacking his baby mother. But, you know, LeSean McCoy was, you know, had filed court documents to get her out of his house a year ago. The first process started a year ago. So she's been living there since 2016 with her 16-year-old son. So once their relationship got rocky and was over, she's been living there for a while. I think it was like around June 1st, she had left the house, and LeSean McCoy had his people come to the house to get his items, his things. They changed like the security cameras. She found out that they were there because she had access to the security cameras. So, you know, their court hearing was they're supposed to have a court meeting today. So that makes it even weirder.
And this attack happened this morning.
And now she's saying that when the attack happened, that certain items were removed.
Removed or demanded?
Or demanded or removed.
Yeah.
So
they were looking for something specific.
You know, so that makes it kind of even muddier. You know what I mean? Like, did he send his people over? And then there's another post saying that another friend of Miss Gordon said that you know, he sent his goons over there and pistol whipped her. So, you know, but you don't know. Like, the thing is, you just don't know what the situation is.
It certainly doesn't look good for LeSean McCoy because this seems a little too specific to be random. He's showing up at LeSean McCoy's house on a day where they are supposed to go to court after this year-long battle of trying to evict her and her young son, asking for specific things. Listen, a holdup is a holdup. A robbery is a robbery. If you're going to stick, you know what I mean?
The weird thing is that's his property. So it's like, I don't know how, you know, like, you know, I don't know if there's some squatters' rights or she's just been staying there.
Yeah.
And they've been just trying to get her out for over a year.
Either way, it is really a bad look for LeSean McCoy.
It is.
I don't know whether it's true or false. I'm not sure how somebody comes back from this in the public eye. Again, Michael Vick came back. Ray Rice didn't. And, you know, people who've done steroids have come back. Mm-hmm. But this is like almost like taking all 3 or 4 even.
Well, if you look at the Reuben Foster situation recently, where, see, I don't even, where the woman said that she lied. I don't know if she got paid off. You don't know.
You don't know.
But it doesn't look good.
Either way, you really have to, even though those photos are so graphic and hit a spot in any human being that you want to jump right on it and find out who was responsible for this and condemn them and curse them out online and stuff like that. You walk a very delicate line between jumping to conclusions and either blaming a man who hasn't been proven guilty yet or victim shaming, which is the opposite end that you cannot do. I mean, if this woman's friend, if this is indeed true, you can't be like, yo, you're an Instagram model. Like, this shit don't count. Right. You should have, you know, what'd you expect? No. None of that. So it's important to kind of let the process kind of play itself out.
You do.
If LeSean McCoy is indeed guilty of this, or having his boys do this, and or hiring somebody to do this, you got to be out of the league.
I mean,
career
career
or
is
go to
over.
jail.
Career is over if it's true.
At least that.
But I mean, as the Eagle fans, we have to, look back at the situation with Nelson Aguilar.
Yeah.
Like I could remember the timeline going crazy and already convicting Nelson for the crime with the stripper.
Yeah.
And people were, oh, she's a stripper, blah, 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 blah. Like you had to get all the facts first to figure out what happened.
Right.
But I mean, look what happened. I mean, you just have to. I mean, that's the hard part. In this day and age, it's not easy to just sit back and not pick a side. But you just have to. That's what you just have to do. That's the reality.
It's like the McCoy fight with the bar fight. It was a humongous deal a couple years ago, and then it was just crickets. There was nothing going on. The charges were dropped and everything. Acted like everything was fine. So we don't know if he even paid the cops of everything that was wrong, or we don't know if it did happen. It's just not a good look on Shady. It's not. It's got a bad resume as it is.
And it breaks my heart a little bit.
For being a Shady fan?
Mike, calm down. It breaks my heart a little bit because yes, I was a Shady fan, a Shady stan. When there was an opportunity or rumors where maybe he would come back to the Philadelphia Eagles, or somehow the Eagles could sort of like pull a trade, where to get him back from Buffalo. Hey, listen, I'm gonna stand it up. I don't care. I'm a cape for this guy. And now you look at it and it's like one of your heroes. Could he possibly be capable of this kind of violence? I mean, this is like, I'll never understand Cowboys fans who sat there and said, well, as long as Greg Hardy's wearing a star, he's cool with me. Nah, dude, like, this shit's real life. That's a real person right there. Like, I don't want to think of one of my favorite players, one of my heroes, like, doing something like that.
I mean, I got a figurine in my office right now and a blown up photo of Shady in the snow hurdling somebody, and I feel weird. I'm like, yo, this shit might have to come down right now until I figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, but it is what it is. I mean, it's terrible. It's a terrible situation.
It's a terrible situation, and regardless of whether it was Shady or not, regardless of whether it's true or not, that sort of violence against women has no place in this society. No. We should not be seeing pictures like this come across the timeline at all. Anybody, from anybody. And it is inexcusable for anybody to do. And not for nothing, if this is the case, I know the NFL has come over or gotten a lot of criticism about different ways in which they handled things. Whether it be their lack of addressing the flag protest, or now the fact that they did address the flag protest. But the one thing I will always sit there and say is, the league, you can't suspend somebody for a year for smoking weed and then give somebody 3 games for doing that to a woman.
And then you had Josh,
if it's true.
And then you had Josh Brown, the kicker from the Giants, who was like basically torturing and beating his wife. And he got 6 games.
You don't see this kind of action or behavior in the NBA. You don't see it in the NHL. You don't hear, and I'm talking about across the board, all the drama. You know what I mean? All the different suspensions, all the misbehavior. You don't see that in the NBA, the NHL, or the MLB. Why is this a football problem? Why? Is it because it's a violent sport? Is it because of CTE? Why is this a particular problem in the sport of football?
I mean, a lot of people have been bringing that up. I've been seeing that everywhere about, brain injuries and is it causing players to act out. I mean, you look at Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah.
There's
no Aaron Hernandez in any other sport.
And he had the worst case of CTE out there. Yeah, I mean, it's prevalent right now. You're seeing it. But I think we're in a different age in the NFL now. I feel like all these things are put on blast. I mean, you can't get past 1 year in the NFL if you got prior a history like this. Like they're not going to let guys like this into the league if it becomes a thing.
Working the social media tonight is our boy Philly Mike. Philly, how you doing tonight?
Doing all right. I'm still a little starstruck, shaking from holding on to that ring for a good few minutes. But I'm doing all right, fellas. But like we said about this whole Shady thing, I've been a diehard Shady fan, and I still have the jersey hanging. And just when I thought it was like safe, quote unquote safe, to wear the McCoy jersey out in public or whatever, and try not get bullshitted, now I don't know what the hell to do with it, because like I said, if this has turned out to be true, I just have no sympathy for him at all whatsoever. I don't care if he's an old-time rusher for the Eagles. I don't care. He's a great guy, quote-unquote great guy. But I'm just baffled by this whole thing, honestly. And I might even burn the jersey. If this turned out to be true, I'll probably burn my McCoy jersey.
I
might be able, not in video or anything like that, just for my own ordeal. I would not make it public.
There's only one jersey that is going to be burned, and it is directly behind me.
Right
once again,
there.
our trophy, the 0 Super Bowls jersey, which once again, we invite everybody down the parking lot, F1, for the home opener to see that jersey burn
Everybody's
at the tailgate.
pyromaniac.
Everybody loves a good burning. Yeah. You know what I mean? For the right reasons, everybody loves that. You can't go wrong with dissing the Giants like that, especially at home when you're ready to raise a banner. We have our man Rick Berger from the Philadelphia Sports Museum, a project that he told me about a year ago, right?
About a year ago.
And it is a phenomenal idea. I can't wait to see this thing open up. And he is here not only to tell us about his project, his passion, but he also brought in some stuff Philadelphia Eagles related that's going to be in said museum. So how are you today, Rick?
Good, man. Excited to be here. It's amazing to be around Eagles fans just 5 short months after our Super Bowl. I've had season tickets since '95. I was Section 717. My favorite Eagle is still Ricky Waters, just because. It's not popular.
For what?
It's not popular, but that was when I was. When I first became a fan, and that was when I was most impressionable as an Eagles fan.
Yes,
Rodney Peete, Ricky Waters, William Fuller. Those years between '95 and '98, the Ray Rhodes era, is still my favorite. 4th and 1 is still my favorite play of all time.
They stopped him again!
They stopped him again. And I've had the pleasure of meeting Merrill Reese lately, and through this museum project, meeting a lot of great people involved with the Eagles. 4th and 1, man, it was 20 degrees out. We hadn't beat the Dallas Cowboys since like 1990. The previous game, Emmett rushed for 200 yards against us on Halloween. And we come in and beat them, and Bobby Taylor breaks up that long pass to Michael Irvin. And I'm just babbling about.
Well, you had tickets up in the 700 level. 717.
We had a guy who is no longer around named Speedy, and he used to run.
Was he
back
on Speedy?
Forth. He had a Randall Cunningham jersey.
Okay.
Number 12, Speedy, and he used to run back and forth. It was much easier to do that at the vet because there weren't as many sections cut off, and that was when I fell in love with football. I mean, and ever since, I was lucky enough to intern with the Eagles back in 2001 with Donovan, and Freddie was a rookie, and great guys. Brian Mitchell was there, and and sports was always my my goal and my passion. And I was lucky enough to meet a gentleman by the name of Lou Scheinfeld, who many people might know because he named the Spectrum. He was vice president of the Flyers, president of the Sixers in the 80s, and ended up working under Buddy Ryan selling sweets in the late 80s and early 90s. So this museum was the brainchild of Lou Scheinfeld, Ed Snyder, Ed Rendell, and a few other folks. The fact that it didn't happen is, because Ed Snyder passed away. It was going to be attached to phase 2 of Xfinity, which never happened. So
I remember because I was part of phase 1 for Xfinity Live. I remember the bold expansion plans that they had for that entire area.
Correct.
So the fact that you're going to place it in where Jetro is now, right?
So we got 20,000 square feet in the Jetro building. Eagles fans will know it because it's the side of the building with the Eagles mural.
Okay.
So right across from the link, the Eagles have a mural with Dawkins, Akers, all types of images, and the museum is 20,000 square feet right there. So we got a lease for 20 years, 20,000 square feet. Dr. DePaci, who's one of our principals, has a $30 million collection of Eagles memorabilia. Everything.
Wait. One more time. $30 million.
$30 million of. Let me rephrase that. Sports memorabilia.
Sports God, memorabilia. I thought I had a big collection. $30 million worth.
This is passion. Everything from Jackie Robinson to Ty Cobb to Chuck Bednarik to Brian Dawkins and Phillies, Sixers. He's from South Jersey, so it's Philadelphia-centric, but a lot of things from all over the country. And his collection is going to be the backbone of the museum. Since I started this project, a lot of other people have reached out to me to give items to the museum. One of them was Ray Didinger. So part of what I brought today is part of Ray Didinger's personal collection.
That's amazing.
Well, Ray Diddy is the man when it comes to Eagles football and the history of it.
The nicest guy ever. So he's actually moving. And he invited me over last Monday to go through some of the stuff that he wanted to donate to the museum, some of which I brought today.
That's beautiful.
If you can see.
Yeah, but before we get into that, how far along are you in the process, and when is an estimated open date for this facility?
So I've been working on the project for about a year. We recently got our zoning approved by the city of Philadelphia. That building is zoned as a warehouse. So in order to make that a museum, we had to get it rezoned for public people coming in and
like bathrooms and stuff like that. Yeah,
correct.
Okay.
Serving drinks, food,
sure,
everything like that. So that got done, and I think right about now we're about a year away from opening. The goal was originally the Super Bowl of 2019, but it looks like it's probably going to be the summer of 2019.
So is the Eagles. That was the goal there. But sometimes things happen a little sooner than expected. Some things happen a little later. That's all right.
The fact that the Eagles won the Super Bowl, we had a meeting with former Mayor Governor Rendell February 8th, which was 3 days after they won the Super Bowl. We had our press conference the following week because there's no better time to be a Philadelphia sports fan. I mean, this project, Philadelphia is a city of museums, no sports museum. There's no better city in the country for sports. And like I said, Lou, older gentleman, worked for all the teams. He's been working on this for a while. Now's the time.
Awesome. So real quickly, and Trox, go ahead and film some of this stuff. Point out some of the items that you had from Ray I can't believe I'm saying that. Ray Didinger's personal collection right there. That some of this will be displayed in the Philadelphia Sports Museum.
Yeah, one of our exhibits is going to be an exhibit to journalism in Philadelphia, sports journalism, with Stan Hochman, Harry Kalas, Ray Didinger. Ray invited me over to go through his things. We have, from his private collection, the sporting news from 1980 when the Philadelphia Eagles played the Oakland Raiders. We have a personal, let me see, Maxwell Awards, 1971, Ray Didinger's personal copy signed by Jim Plunkett.
Wow.
We have the first issue of the USFL magazine, and if you get to hang out with Ray, he talks a lot about the USFL.
He does.
Because he's a historian, and the USFL doesn't get much love, but he was a big fan of it. And obviously a lot of stars came from the USFL.
A ton of them.
Steve Young is on the cover of that magazine. Reggie White came from the USFL.
Jim Kelly.
Jim Kelly came from the USFL.
Warren Moon.
And the Philadelphia Stars were really good.
Yeah.
They played at the Vet. It was only a few years, but people don't really talk about it anymore.
That was the first football league to at least attempt. They weren't successful, but attempt to give the NFL a run for its money since the NFL-AFL merger.
Correct.
And if you remember correctly, they were kind of playing by the AFL playbook, which was mortgaging the bank, just overpaying for stars that would have been drafted by the NFL and kind of forcing their way into the public eye by guys like Joe Namath, and stuff like that, and John Riggins. They would hire those, they would sign those guys to contracts that, quite frankly, they didn't have money for, but they found a way to get it in order to draw and stuff like that. So the USFL tried to do the same thing with Reggie. What was it? The Memphis Showboats.
Showboats.
Yeah, how about that? That Reggie White was part of it.
Philadelphia Stars, the Generals, a lot of teams, and they were good. The Philadelphia Stars were good.
And it's so funny how different pop-up leagues still try, whether it's the XFL, whether it's what is the AFL or something like that. It's not trying to make a run for it.
I was at Saturday night, my wife and I were at a Soul game, and many people don't know this, but the Arena Football League is down to 4 teams. Yeah. Chicago, Tampa Bay, Phoenix, they had about 20 teams at one point, down to 4 teams. So it's tough to make it go in professional football, especially, when the NFL is as big as it is. So, luckily we have a lot of friends of the Museum Project that are tied to the Eagles, a lot of former players. Mark McMillan has reached out to me. So we want to have events that honor the 1990 Eagles. One of the things I brought was Lou Scheinfeld, who's one of our principals, was the marketing director of the Eagles in the late 80s. We have his jacket that was a gift from Buddy Ryan, in addition to a ring that Buddy Ryan gave to his staff. Now, when I say staff, you don't realize that's Jeff Fisher. That's Rich Kotite. Rich Kotite was his offensive coordinator.
Right.
That's how Rich Kotite ended up getting the job. Mm-hmm. Bud Carson. Guys that are football legends. Yeah. And, that era of Eagles football, the fans really love. You know what I mean? So we want to honor that. So the museum is, and here it is. This was Lou got one of. Yep. So
that's amazing, man. I cannot wait for this grant. I hope we get an invite. I can't wait.
You were at our first fundraiser.
I was at your first fundraiser.
Yeah.
In fact, funny story about the first fundraiser. So Rick comes over to me and he goes, "Listen, man, I know you're good at videotaping. I need a favor." And I was like, "Yeah, buddy, what?" He goes, I'm going to go up there and I'm going to give a little speech and thank everybody for coming. Derek Barnett, rookie for the Philadelphia Eagles, he's going to be up there too. And he's holding in his pocket an engagement ring." And I went, "Oh, shit, it's about to go down." He's like, "You're damn right it is." So he stood up there in front of everybody, right? Gave this little speech, never gave anything away. She never saw it coming. And all of a sudden, he asked Derek Barnett for something, and he reaches into his pocket. And of course, it wasn't as big as this one. All right?
Unfortunately not.
But all of a sudden, my homeboy over here pops a knee and surprises this girl right here.
Smooth.
You lucky
Smooth
man.
guy,
Look at that.
Look at you.
Calling in the big dogs to get it done.
You know what? It's funny. At the time, I was so hype and so excited. I ended up feeling bad later. That was Derek Barnett's first public appearance.
No pressure, kid.
As an Eagle. Yeah. This was June. This was before training camp, a little bit after the draft. I have a friend who's an agent who knows a lot of these guys, and Derek Barnett agreed to come do this, event for the Museum of Sports. I didn't tell him ahead of time. And
so you just sprung it on him there?
Sprung it on him, handed him the ring. And I made this speech, and I ran into him a couple months ago after the Super Bowl, and I made this speech about rings and how, we hope that Derek Barnett's journey ends in a ring. And who knew that 7 months later he would have one? I certainly didn't think
Forecasted.
that. He didn't think that.
I
gave a speech, he handed me a ring, handed it to my now wife, and the rest is history. And Eric is credited with calling that Derek Barnett's first sack.
That was his first sack, man.
But I got a question. Can you bring me to Ray Didinger's house? I won't be a creeper or anything.
Moving. So Ray,
truth be told, Gail's got a little bit of a weird old man crush on Ray Didinger.
A lot of guys do. My dad does.
Trying to be the black Ray Didinger over here.
Blackinger.
Ray Didinger is so real and nice. He and that's why he gets the respect that he does. Yeah. He gets it from the teams. He gets it from the country. One of my favorite pastimes was putting on Daily News Live not Daily News Live, Post Game Live after a loss, because he would calm me down. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I remember when I first got to know him about this project, he had put out the play with Tommy McDonald. And one of the things that we have for the museum is Ray inducted Tommy McDonald into the NFL Hall of Fame. So Ray gave us the placard that was on the Cadillac that drove around Canton as Tommy McDonald was inducted into the Hall of Fame. One of his prized possessions, gave it to the museum.
That's crazy.
But, it was so nice to realize that Ray would get frustrated with Andy Reid's calls. He would never show it, but he would, 4th and 1 or on the goal line, you throw the ball. You know what I mean? 4th and inches, you throw the ball. You don't run it. Things that used to drive me nuts, and it's nice to get to know him behind the scenes. And you saw when they won the Super Bowl, he and his son hugged.
Yeah.
And you could see that Ray is really a fan.
They had a moment.
And that was my first question for Ray is, are you really a fan? I know you got to be. And he is deep down. And right now he's writing the new 3rd edition of the encyclopedia, which is the World Champion edition, which we never thought, would happen.
And that's something that you certainly got to respect about Ray Didinger is he has this picture, and it's I don't know where you find it, but it's in my head. I've seen it before. It's a young, red-headed Ray Didinger with Chuck Bednarik kneeling next to him. And here at 4th and JAWN, we're not professionals. We didn't start out covering sports and then start covering the Eagles. We just started out as fans. You know what I mean? And then started talking about the Eagles and loving the Eagles and loving the history of the Eagles and talking. And now here we are, trying to bring it to the people, kind of the same along the same path that Mr. One Ray Didinger from the stands into the media, and now he's the go-to person. Anything Eagles historic.
One of the coolest things he gave us, which I wasn't able to bring tonight, is his typewriter that he used from the end of the days of Franklin Field through the vet to Lincoln Financial Field. The typewriter that he used to be a writer. And like I said, he's one of the most respected writers that I've ever met, and couldn't be nicer, couldn't be a bigger supporter of everything, and proud to show his collection.
Awesome. Well, Rick, we really appreciate you coming in studio, telling us about your passion project there in the Philadelphia Sports Museum, and bringing these awesome items from Ray Didinger's personal collection. This is so cool. This has been a great day, man. We're talking Super Bowl rings, Eagles memorabilia. Oh, shit. This is awesome, man. So thanks so much for stopping in.